Hello, during this video I'll be talking about the revisions I did from the instructor draft of major writing assignment 2 to the portfolio draft. So here I have displayed your actual comments on my major writing assignment. So you can see here these are all comments that you did. So one of the biggest things was here on my portfolio draft, I made sure I added citation here. Another thing is, I really didn't realize this at first, but in a recent study conducted, which one? I actually thought that myself when I read it again. So what I did in my second writing, or my portfolio draft, I'm sorry, was I actually took this sentence here and I swapped it. I placed it up here so that when the reader starts reading, they would know that in the study, the effects of napping during the shift work, etc., is the study that I'm actually talking about. So the biggest change I did was I swapped these two, and of course I reworded it so it wouldn't be in the study. So that's one of the biggest things I did on this paragraph here, just to clarify to the reader exactly which study I was talking about. Another thing was that I did not analyze this quote, so on my portfolio draft, I added a couple sentences just analyzing my thoughts and kind of backing up my claim on how napping improves the shift times and reactions of EMS workers and like. Another thing is you stated that punctuation will go after the closing parentheses, not within the quotation marks. I'm not sure why I really did that, so I went through and I switched that, but I also went through and made sure that I had done it correctly on other ones, but for some reason, as you can see right here, at the ending of this, the period is still within the quotation marks instead of at the end. And there was other cases as well where I had the exact same mistake, so I went through and corrected those. I went through and of course removed this, which is completely unnecessary. Since you stated that there was a good transition here, and towards the end, I'll come back to that next point. Towards the end, to conclude, you wanted me to pick a different transition word. So one of the things I did was I went ahead and switched this transition here to my final paragraph, the conclusion. Going back up to the top here, you stated that it should be the author's last name. And again, I switched this and I made sure it was this author's last name. But I also went through and I checked all of my other citations just to make sure I hadn't made the same mistake. And as you can see here with Matthew, for some reason I had placed all of the author's first names instead of last names. So I went ahead and I changed all of the all of the author's first names to last names, as well as adding the punctuation point at the end of the at the end of the parentheses. Those were really the only suggestions I had to make this portfolio quality. Overall, I think that this was a much more accurate picture of my writing abilities than the first major writing assignment. Also, another thing was that I had URLs on a lot of my citations, as you can see here and here. So I went ahead and I deleted both of those citations, but you also state that there is no publication, which I really did not pay attention to them not having one. So I went back and I found the actual article for this one and I made sure there was a publisher. And there was also on this one, I noticed that this one also didn't have a publisher, so I went through and I went ahead and italicized and added publishers on both, as well as deleting the URLs on all of these. Also, this one didn't have a publisher, so I went through and I added and italicized all of the publishers and all of the ones that were missing. Overall, I think this was one of my stronger pieces in writing, which, like I stated earlier, really does show a clear picture of my writing abilities. I got a really low grade on my first writing assignment, and I don't think that was an accurate picture of what I was capable of. So really, I just went ahead and, like I said, I changed the flow of the second paragraph a little bit. I went ahead and changed the author's first names to last names, corrected the location of the period, as well as removing these URL links and adding and italicizing the publishers. Thank you very much for your time.